The countries of Iran and Saudi Arabia have had a history of rivalry. Both are countries with rich histories and cultures, so let's take a look and see how similar they actually really are with each other. What's going on, guys? My name is Leroy Kenton and welcome back to FTD Facts. And now I'm not gonna lie, it took a whole lot of work to find 10 similarities between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Because it's very surprising that nearly every single source that mentions Iran and Saudi Arabia together focuses on all the negative aspects and the conflicts and everything. But in any case, here are 10 similarities between Iran and Saudi Arabia. So starting at number 10, we have the religion. So both are Muslim majority countries. In Iran, around 90 to 95% of Iranians associate themselves with the Shia branch of Islam, which is the official religion, and about 5 to 10% are Sunni and Sufi branches of Islam. The remaining 0.6%, about that, associate themselves with non-Islamic religions like Baha'is, Zoroastrians, Jews, Christians, as well as other smaller religious groups. Now, over in Saudi Arabia, Islam is a state religion and its law requires all citizens to be Muslim. The official form of Islam is Sunni of the Hanbali school in its Salafi version, and by the way, Salafi is a branch of Sunni Islam. About 75 to 85% of Saudi Arabians are Sunni Muslims, 10 to 15% are Shia, and more than 30% of the population is made up of foreign workers who are mostly but not all Muslim. And number 9, when it comes to Islam, Islam is an export in these two countries. With their wealth, Saudi Arabia has spread its interpretation of Islam to various countries like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, as well as other countries. Now, according to theweek.com, Saudis do this partially out of fear to combat the spread of Shiite Islam and ensure that the Islamic world is mainly Sunni. Now that Iran has agreed to rein in its nuclear program in return for lifting international economic sanctions, Saudi Arabia fears Iran will go after spreading the Shia Islam doctrine a lot more aggressively. And according to NPR reports, Iran too tried to export their views. Iran's leader Khomeini, his ideology apparently is of a clerical rule. Khomeini also claimed that he was the leader of the entire Muslim world, not just Iran. And of course, that message was not well received among Sunni Muslim rulers in the Middle East. Number 8 brings us to their modesty guidelines. In Saudi Arabia, women are to wear a full loose cloak called an abaya, and they're expected to cover up their heads as well. These rules are enforced by the mutawas, which is the religious police, and these guys, they patrol the streets all the time, night and day. Women often try to protest this by leaving their faces uncovered, as well as showing off a little bit more skin than usually permitted. Over in Iran, even when you go to the Imam Khomeini International Airport in Tehran, there's a sign that says, "Respected ladies, please observe Islamic dress code." So officially this is interpreted as either a full chador or a loose-fitting outfit called a mantu. Depending on the city, Iranian women, much like the women in Saudi Arabia, they want a little bit more freedom, show a little bit more skin even. Today, more and more women are letting their head covers go in order to protest these strict guidelines. Next up is Unchecked Authority. Both Iran and Saudi Arabia are ruled by leaders with virtually unchecked authority. There's Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He's been Iran's supreme leader since 1989. And King Salman has ruled Saudi Arabia since January of 2015. Both Iran and Saudi Arabia emphasize moral qualities in selecting their leaders, and both emphasize that there is no difference between the ruler and the common people of the land. In Iran, the supreme leader is empowered to provide political and religious leadership in the absence of the 12th Imam. Both Iran's supreme leader and Saudi Arabia's king hold substantial authority over the military and other branches of government. And they're both given the task of ruling according to Islam. And as a matter of fact, that brings us to our legal system. So both countries refer to Sharia law. Over in Saudi Arabia, the primary source of law is Islamic Sharia, and that's taken from the teachings of the Quran as well as the Sunnah, which are the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad. What makes Saudi Arabia unique from the other modern Muslim states is that Sharia is not codified. This allows judges to use their own reasoning to make legal decisions. Saudi judges generally follow the Hanbali school of jurisprudence, and that can be found in pre-modern texts. Now, when you travel over to Iran has a constitution, and the council interprets the constitution and can also veto the parliament. So if a law is viewed as not being in line with the constitution or Sharia law, it would then have to go back to the parliament for revision. So again, they do vary in how they use Sharia law, but both countries, they do refer to it. Number 5 brings us to the banning of homosexuality. So both Saudi Arabia and Iran have clamped down hard on homosexuality. Over in Saudi Arabia, it has objected to LGBT rights as being a part of the UN's global goals, and also has taken action against gay marriages. Homosexuality is illegal under Saudi Arabia's law. In both Iran and Saudi Arabia, punishment can be very steep for this perversion, as it's labeled, which is considered to be a severe crime. Now, I know, of course, we have to talk about oil. They both are leaders when it comes to oil reserves and oil serving as a top export. Saudi Arabia is the leading global exporter of oil. But the oil reserves in Saudi Arabia, however, are the second largest in the world, and it's estimated to be just under 300 billion barrels. And for Iran, it's estimated to have the 4th largest oil reserve in the world, with around 160 billion barrels. The third similarity is their relationship to the United States. As America's closest Arab ally in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia has had a lot of US military support and has influenced American foreign policy. Lucky for Saudi Arabia, the United States hasn't been on very friendly grounds with Iran, especially since 1979, the revolution that happened. Now, the power balance, however, shifted in the year 2015 when President Barack Obama of the United States reached a historic agreement with Iran that limits Iran's ability to acquire nuclear weapons. In return for Iran's compliance with the terms of the deal, the US and other world powers must lift economic sanctions on Iran. So although Iran is not exactly in a position like Saudi Arabia and their relationship with the United States, that could all change once the sanctions are lifted, because it'll definitely be beneficial for US and Iran to be in a friendly relationship, or much friendlier relationship, I should say. Now for number 2, now with all of these similarities getting a bit serious and heavy at some points, I thought I'd throw in one with a little bit of humor. Okay, so both Saudi Arabia and Iran, they aren't that good at football. Not that no one in the country is good. I'm talking about like how each of these countries match up on a world scale against other nations. So Saudi Arabia's best efforts in the World Cup came in 1994 when Saeed Al-Owairan, he scored one of the greatest goals in World Cup history. However, in 2002, the Germans crushed them 8-0. Similarly, Iran has not had that great of a track record in the World Cup, and both of these countries have qualified 5 times in the World Cup. And the final similarity is the currency name. So the Latin word regalis, meaning royal, is the origin of the Iranian rial, as well as Oman uses a rial as well. That's spelled R-I-A-L. Countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, of course, and Yemen, they all use a currency called the rial, spelled R-I-Y-A-L. And also before the euro, Spain used the reals as well, spelled R-E-A-L. So both these countries, yeah, they use the exact same currency. Of course, the value of the currencies varies from country to country, and the spelling of the currency as well, because they speak different languages. Alright, so that's all I have for you in this episode. What other similarities do you know about? Let me know all of them down below in the comment section. And if you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do. Just tap the annotation right by my head. You know you wanna. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media. I have those links down below in the video description. Hit me up on Instagram. Like, a lot of you have been following me and shooting me messages. I do my best to reply as quickly as possible over there. Subscribe here on YouTube as well to become part of the FTD Facts family, and ring that bell to be notified of our daily episodes.